name's Talbot, and you are very welcome to the 10th episode of the Big Renga Roundup, the show that brings you the latest news and views from the Big Renga Project, a collaborative linked verse poetry project involving 13 poets who are, over a period of 25 consecutive days, creating 25 verses together. And today is day 10. So we're on page 2. Yesterday we started page 2 with verse 9, and Janet did a verse on winter, and she was making a reference to exquisite members, the moving limbs of small animals. So that left things wide open for today, because today's renju, Lisa, had lots of options. She could have created a second verse for winter. So once winter gets started off, you can just leave it. There's actually no continuity rule, but if you do want to continue, you're allowed up to 3 consecutive verses in a row. She could have done something really exciting and invoked the flower rule, which would start spring off, and you're only allowed to use the flower rule on the second page. In fact, you have to use the flower rule on the second page. She could have invoked the moon rule. We need to mention the moon once on the second page. You could have invoked the love rule, or gone for some of the small fry verses like dwellings, mountains, shores, or travel. So what did Lisa do? Lucky girl Lisa, she took spring. Yeah, she started spring off by invoking the flower rule, and this is what she came up with. Ambling to a pause awake, above cherry blossom sings. So Lisa had a 7-7, and the flower rule, when you start spring, what's traditionally used as a Kigo word for spring is cherry blossom. So she used the traditional Kigo to start us off, and she provided continuity. So she used the word ambling, and that is suggesting the movement of these small animals that Janet started off yesterday. So we've got a shift in direction. We have moved from the sleepiness of winter to the awakeness of spring. So she uses the phrase cherry blossom sings, and she uses the phrase awake. So there's the noise of spring waking up, the sound of it. And I just wonder what's going to happen next. So spring is awake, and when I say wonder, I'm wondering how the next person is going to take the spring baton, because there's no choice. The next poet and the poet after that definitely has to write on the topic of spring. They cannot mention cherry blossom again, ever again, in our whole Renga. That is it, and that is the game that Renga is. See you tomorrow.